Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Gary here. I'm starting to get subscriber feedback. I had someone yesterday, actually last night, I got an email about 11 o'clock, so I stay up late anymore. Say, hey, can you follow up on your last episode and talk about about drinking? Can you follow up on that? I said, I didn't respond to the email, but I figured I'm going to do it because I was thinking about it anyway. When I was in the restaurant business in 1985. Actually, I started when I was a kid, bussing tables. But 1985 was the year. I was out there on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I was waiting tables. But 2 nights out of the week, I was bartending. I was behind the bar on Thursdays and Fridays. Those were my nights that my boss needed me. Hey, Gary, I need you behind the bar on Thursday and Friday night. No problem, Gratz. His name was Bob Graziano. So I said, sure, I can do it. He goes, you know how to bartend? I said, I can figure it out. I'll buy a little book. I'll figure it out. I don't know how to make drinks. Have you ever bartended before? No, but I've seen it done. I got this. Don't worry. It can't be that hard. And it wasn't. When I did it, I would ask people if they want to know, hey, someone said, can I get a Long Island iced tea? And I'd say, hey, how do you make that? What's in it? And they would tell me it's what's in it. And I would make it for them. I learned how to make drinks as I went. I would ask people, waitresses or waiters that had bartend, hey, how do you make a Southern Comfort Manhattan? How do you do that? We got those kind of drinks, but most of the drinks I made were they were shots or they were wine or beer. It was that kind of a bar. I got to learn who my regulars were. It took me about 2 weeks to get, and on Friday nights, I had maybe a half a dozen regulars, and I knew by my second Friday I had to do the bar what their drink was. It wasn't that hard because most of them drank beer, so I had to learn their kind, but it wasn't that hard because I got their face down and what they drank. And these people were like barflies. Every Friday night, they come in after work. They had full-time jobs on the island, being Cape Cod. And they come in after work, they sit there and they start drinking and watching TV. They have TV and then they have music, but the TVs are on mute because they want to watch a sports game or the Boston Bruins game, or the Boston Celtics because they're big Boston fans there, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. But I'll talk about a couple of regulars I had. Before I go into talking about the regulars I had, if you really want to learn about people and not go to college to become a psychiatrist or psychologist, be a barback or a bartender for about a year. Because you're going to end up being their shrink. Because they're going to cry to you about everything in life. They're going to ask I'm a total stranger. They're going to ask me, oh, but my husband cheated on me, or my girlfriend, she's a whore. And, they tell you all these stories about their life. And they want your advice because you're the bartender. I had a lady every Friday. I called her Martini. She was very well dressed. She was a businesswoman, came in generally around 5:30 every single Friday night. 5:30 she had her room. And the lady behind the bar that worked during the week, she told me, she comes in on Mondays and Fridays. Save her corner bar seat for her, put a glass of water or something, a napkin down there so no one would take it. So I did that my second Friday. And she sat down and she introduced herself to me and she told me what she drank. And she said she wanted a vodka martini. I said, sure, here you go. Here's your vodka martini. And right around 5:30, it's not that busy. They're funneling in. They're starting to funnel in. But about 5:30, she starts telling me a little bit about herself, what she does for work. She was like a paralegal. I know she wasn't quite an attorney, but she was like a paralegal. I'm going to guess this lady was in her late 30s, whatever. Like I said, attractive, very, very well groomed, sharp dressed. And she was talking about the people she worked with. Occasionally she would talk about her boyfriend. She had this full-time boyfriend and he was always traveling and I never see him. And he's a real sweetheart. She kept on saying, oh, he's a real sweetheart. Gary, he's a great guy, but I see him every now and then. And she'd be real talky. And then there was another guy and his crew. They were construction workers. And they'd come in. They'd always sit at the other end of the bar, and all they drank were pitchers of draft beer. And I would just pour up 2 pitchers and set them down in front of those guys at the end of the bar, and they'd start drinking and tell them they're talking about work. So they left me alone. All I had to do was make sure their pitchers were full. And people would say, well, you can't overserve them. They got to dry. Fuck that. If they fall down, that's their problem. That's not my problem. I'm not a cop, Well, Martini was the best story out of all these stories. So I'm going to share a little bit more about her. So she sucked down the first one quick. And she ran a tab. She'd give me her credit card. I'd run her number, give her her credit card back. And she'd get her third martini in her within an hour. Well, I would see the mood change right away. So into the third martini, she'd be leaning forward, still talking to me as I'm waiting on other patrons, talking to other patrons. And meanwhile, I could hear her yakking at me from down here at the other end of the bar. And she's getting louder and louder. If you've noticed, when people drink, the more they drink, the louder they become. If you want your information private, get a bar table out in front of the bar. At least the only person listening to you yak is maybe the waitress waiting on you, the bar waitress, and maybe someone else in the distance, because the bar tables weren't real close together out at my bar, in my lounge area. But you sit at the bar, everyone knows your story. I know it, and all the other patrons that are elbows with you at the bar stools can hear your story. Well, she started getting louder. And not nasty louder, but telling me her story. So after the third martini, she starts talking about the boyfriend she never sees. That's the sweetheart. And she starts to slur her speech just a little bit, but not real bad, but enough to know that she's on her third martini. And I'm making them strong. I mean, martinis are just straight up alcohol anyway, with an authentic. My boyfriend, he's a sweetheart, Gary, but goddamn, he can't give me head right. He just can't give me head. She starts getting into the graphics. And I thought to myself, I was 25 years old. I'm thinking, give me head. Give me head? I was out there doing it. I was out there sleeping with women and shit. But I didn't know. I'd never heard a woman say, a guy's not giving me head right. I had to put 2 and 2 together. And then I'm looking at her like, oh, okay. And I walk back to one of the waitresses that are getting ice and getting another drink order, because I had to help the waitresses too for the restaurant. And I walked back, and this lady, she was an older waitress. I said, hey, Mare. Her name was Mary. I said, hey, Mare, what does it mean when a woman says a guy's giving her head? And she starts laughing at me. She goes, you serious, Gary? You serious? I said, yeah, I'm dead serious. Martini down there is talking about her boyfriend not being able to give her head. Eat her out, Gary. Going down on a woman that's giving a woman head. I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay, I learned something new tonight. I didn't know. I had to ask. I had to ask a waitress. So she's down here talking about her boyfriend. No, but I never see him. And she's getting louder. So the people next to her are going to hear her tale of woe about this boyfriend. Yeah, well, he's never home. I never see him. He just doesn't give me very good head. And now that I know what she's talking about, I said to her after her third martini, and she's ordered her fourth, because she was always 5 martinis. I would call her a cab if she got really bad. But she was, after her third, she was into her fourth, and she was already sitting there for 2 hours. And she said, and I said to her, well, maybe you ought to show him how you want it done. Maybe you ought to give him some instructions, huh? You thought about that? Yeah, I shouldn't have to do that for that dickless guy. Dickless wonder. Now she's getting nasty. So the beginning of the day, the beginning of the evening, she's really nice and sweet. No, so sweet. He's a great guy. I hardly ever see him because he's traveling a lot, but he's a sweetie too. He doesn't give me head, and now he's dickless. Now he's dickless. So now it's going from a sweet guy to he can't give me head, and he's dickless, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Meantime, I got to go down and fill these pitchers back up, and these guys are laughing, rolling, and cracking up about whatever. The whole night, these guys are laughing their asses off. I don't know what they were talking about. I don't care what they were talking about. The bar I had to wait was the Serpentine bar. It was shaped like a snake. I think I've talked about that in one of my other episodes. And so it was a lot of work for me to, move around this thing because there was different ice stations, different beer stations, and I was by myself. And I would have maybe, I don't know, 6 regulars and a total of maybe 15 patrons. And then people behind them wanting drinks, barking at me. I need drinks. And I had no problem with that. So I got the Bowery Boys, called them the Bowery Boys because they had all these pitchers of beer, and I kept them happy by chucking them beers. They tipped me really good. These guys, just as a tutorial, this is like an advice for people watching this show. If you want really super good service, tip more than 15%, because 15% in 1985 was the standard tip for a good tip, and it's still today a standard accepted form of an average tip, 15%. That's for people that are like totally cheapos. When I go out, I tip over 50% because I don't go out very often. I don't drink anymore. I'll get back into that in a minute. But so a good tip would be 30%. If someone's chucking me 30%, if someone's mug of beer is $3 and they chuck me $1, that's a good tip. That's a damn good tip. So on a Friday night, if one of my regulars came in a little bit late and the bar was lined with people, patrons, and people trying to get orders, get drinks, because it was just me, and I'm running my ass off helping people, and I see one of my regulars come in, he's got a beer going over, I got a beer cracked, and it's going over all the heads of the people into his hand. There you go. Yep. Get a tab going. You got it, buddy. I'm taking care of my regulars. Why? Because they tip me. The schmucks that were my regulars that didn't tip me, they could wait all fucking day as far as I was concerned. I couldn't give a shit. So I had to refill the bartenders. I had to refill the Bowery Boys, fill up their pitchers. They're talking about pussy and all the women they tag and all the women they bang. I finally get an ear on one of the conversations. Oh, yeah, this. Oh, yeah, that about women. And then here's Martini into her 4th martini. And now she's getting vile. Oh, Gary, I tell you what, have you ever been married? I said, fuck you. No, I'm 25 years old. I'm not married, and I'm not even thinking about marriage at this point. Well, don't ever go there. I said, you're not married, are you? And I got a lull in the action because now my bar back is here. My bar back came in at 8:00, and he helped me clear glasses, fill ice, restock the beers. That's all he did. So now he's here. So I had a chance to talk to Martini, and she was a great tipper. I mean, after 5 martinis, her bill was like $36, $37 right in there. She'd always chuck me $25. That's a great tip, And now she's saying, well, don't ever get married. I said, well, your boyfriend, that's your boyfriend? Well, he's ex-husband number 2 coming around the corner, but until he can learn how to fuck me, I mean, first it was he can't give me head. Now she's getting nasty. So that's what the thing is. I've seen some of the happiest people come in to I know I'm shifting gears because I got a lot here. I've seen some of the happiest people come in, leave in a pisser. And I've seen some of the people come in that are in a pisser, leave real happy. That's the beautiful thing about being in the bar business. You learn about what did I say in my last episode? The many faces of Eve. Yeah, you see all these different personalities come out of these people. So you can learn how to be a shrink, So she goes, yeah, dickless. He's dickless. He can't fuck me. He doesn't know how to fuck me. And she's saying it really loud. And there's 2 other ladies sitting next to her that are just giving her the side eye. And I just look at these ladies and said, don't ignore her. She's in a mood right now. And I said it quiet enough so Martini couldn't hear me share that with him. I said, hey, I'll get the next drinks on the house, ladies. Don't leave. Don't leave. I got the next drinks on the house. Don't worry about her. She's good for one more and she's out of here. So I had to be barkeep, the bartender, the law and order, and keeping everyone happy at the same time. So fast forward like 3 weeks. Bob Graziano, my manager of the restaurant, is invited to a wedding on Cape Cod in Hyannis. Hyannis is the party town. Hyannis it's just like a big time party town. It's like 3 towns down from where I worked. And he was invited to a wedding. He goes, hey, Gary, you want to come to this wedding with me? I'm a guest. One of the guys here, one of the regulars here is getting married. You want to come to this spot? Come to the potty. It'll be a good time. I said, sure, I'll go. And it was on a Thursday afternoon, so I went. Who was at the party? Who was there? Martini. Martini was there by herself or with a couple girlfriends. I didn't see Dickless with her. And she didn't remember my face for some reason. I was dressed up. I didn't have a tie on, but I was dressed up. I wore a ball cap when I bartended. I didn't have a ball cap on. I have naturally curly hair, and back then it was black, solid black curly hair, and I wore it in a mullet. So she didn't really put the face together. She didn't put two and two together that it was me. And she saw me talking to Gratz. Well, she knew who Gratz was and was talking to Gratz. And she looks at me, she goes, you look really familiar. Where do I know you from? I said, I don't know. I mean, I got one of those faces. I got one of those faces. She starts hitting on me. Throughout the night, she starts hitting on me. Oh, you're a good looking guy. We should get out sometime. We should go out. And I said to her, you got a boyfriend you taking? She goes, no, I'm single. I am so single. I'm so single. Yeah, I haven't been with a guy in years. I said, you ever been married? No, I've been single a long time. I don't have time. So you hear different stories. So you don't know what story I heard while she was at the bar drinking, and then I saw her at this party, at this wedding reception. You never know who you're going to see or what story you're going to hear. So I call it Barstool Logic. I mean, I heard a guy talk about it one night. That was the bartender, the guy that was working with me during the week. He goes, yeah, the Barstool Logic, man. You can learn all kinds of stories about people behind that patrons you wait on. I've seen people come in there. I've seen women come in there straight and sober as a judge with girlfriends, like a wingman, two girls, just chatty with each other on a Friday night, shooting the shit, talking about work. Go home with strangers every Friday night. Both of them picking up guys. They would pick up guys at the bar, out near patrons, go home. One girl left with a guy one night, and she was a regular. So I always called her Backseat Rhythm because I knew she would, that's what I call it. AC/DC has a song called Backseat Rhythm. I would call her Backseat Rhythm because she'd go out in the parking lot and come back in, looking for the next suitor. She was a slut. But guys did the same thing. But she just happened to be one of those women that would come in with two or three of her girlfriends, pick up a guy in the bar, take him outside. He'd never come back in. She'd come back in and she'd be adjusting her shit and order another beer. I knew what she was all about. And then I would hear her stories. Some of the horror stories I hear coming out of mouths of women. And I thought guys had dirty mouths. And I thought guys were perverted and talked about sex all the time. Women are worse. I heard about all the toys they use for sex. I heard about all the positions they use for sex. I heard about all the terms and the derogatory statements and things they talk about referring to men. Dickless, can't give head, can't do this, can't do that. He's cheap. I want, I need. And then guys talking the same way about women. Like I said, total strangers coming in there. Mad at the whole world, leaving happy. People coming in real happy, leaving pissed off. I've heard stories about people going through a divorce. I've heard about people getting ready to get fired. I've heard about people that just got promoted. And I've seen people flat out fall down off of a fucking bar stool. I saw a guy do a faceplant. He didn't move all night. All he did was drink draft beer all night. Talking to me, carrying on, burning up my ear next to Martini. And when you got up to move, you know the crab walk, right? Guys and gals, you know the crab walk. When I used to drink, I crab walked when I used to drink a lot, when I was back in my 20s. You get up and you can't get your balance, so you start walking sideways really fast until you can grab a hold of something to assure yourself and not look like a total idiot when you're in public. That's called the crab walk, because crabs walk sideways. It's called the crab walk. This guy did a crab walk, got off of his stool, was getting ready to leave, did the crab walk about 5 or 6 steps, righted himself, and then he thought he was okay. He grabbed the hold of a couple chairs and he's righting himself. He's like, okay, I'm balanced. And he left his car keys on the bar. I said, your keys are there. He goes, oh, yeah, let me get my keys. Yeah, I'm going to need these. And after he rights himself and turns around, he does face plant right in the floor. Out. out like a light. So we had to pick his ass up and call him a cab. So yeah, if you ever want to learn about people and really see some funny stories about people drinking and the different faces they show you after they've had 4 or 5, 6 beers, be a bartender. Work in that business for a while. It's always a trip, man. Hey, good talking to everybody today. I hope you enjoyed my episode. I'll be back with some more fun in the sun before the weekend hits. What day is it? It's a Wednesday. God, this week is flying by. It's 65 degrees today in Cincinnati. And it's February. Watch, we'll get more snow in March. That's Cincinnati weather for you. That's all I got. You all have a fantastic day. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace out.